my gosh. Hello.
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 I wonder why so many people are here today. Yeah, right. You're right. You're here for me. Refer me. No. Nope, that's not. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
From across the room. You've been discriminating against me and discriminating against some people in the briefing room. And I'm saying that this is the U.S., this is not China, this is not Russia. This is not Russia.
Okay.
What you are doing, you are making a mockery of the First Amendment.
Decorum, please.
It's been 7 months. You've not called on me. You've not my messages. I'm saying that that's not right. That's not right.
Fun times. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Welcome to the press briefing room. Okay.
This is not right.
Sir, let it go.
Are we ready? Are we going to behave?
It's not
While many
I'm saying
folks...
that you should respect the First Amendment.
Decorum, please. Sorry to our guests. We apologize.
Yes, I apologize. I apologize. Make sure.
Karine, what I'm saying is, you can't keep discriminating against some people in the briefing room because you don't like them, you don't like them.
So you have a choice.
No,
You have a choice. You have a choice.
A number of people
Okay.
in the briefing room, and I'm saying that that's not right. This is not China. This is not Russia. This is the United States. This is the White House. It's been 7 months. I sent you emails.
The rest of us are here too, pal.
It's been 7 months. You guys have not done anything for
If
me.
you have grievances, you should bring them to her later.
I have
Right
done
now,
that.
this is
I've
for the
done that.
entire
All my
press corps.
emails have been
And the
ignored.
press corps is tired of dealing with this.
It isn't
I've
just
done
about
that.
you,
I
Simon.
understand that you get questioned all the time and you don't understand what it is to sit here for 8 months and being discriminated
Take
against. I understand that you're in the front row and you feel comfortable and you
the
get
press
questions all the
secretary at
time.
another
But there are
time.
people in the back who don't get any questions.
Don't make assumptions about what the rest of us do. Mind your manners when you're in here. If you have a problem, you bring it up afterwards. But you are impinging on everybody in here who's only trying to do their job.
Okay, thank you. I'm saying that you shouldn't discriminate against some people because you don't agree with their question, you're offended by your
You made your
question.
point.
We all heard it.
All right. Guys, as you all know, many of you know, this is the White House press briefing room, a historic room, a room that should have decorum, a room where folks should respect their colleagues and respect the guests that are here. And I understand that there's going to be give and take. That's the way the press briefing has gone for decades before me. And I will always, always respect that. But what I will not appreciate is disrespecting your colleagues and disrespecting guests who are here to talk, who were here to talk about an incredibly important issue, which is mental health. And what has just occurred this last 10, 15 minutes is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. So we're either going to continue the briefing or we can just end the briefing right here. Okay, well then, let's go.
That was White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and a couple of other journalists inside the White House press corps handling what can only be described as a childish tantrum from Simon Atiba, an African journalist who you heard in that clip said that he hasn't been called on in 8 months and that he feels like he's being discriminated against. So I went back to a press briefing about 8 months ago and found this clip.
Okay.
Thank you, Karine. I would like to ask you about the announcement that the president made at the G7 for the Global Partnership on Infrastructure. But before that, I would like to know what's the difference between President Trump watching TV, even pleading to go to the Capitol while the Capitol was being attacked, and President Biden going to the beach and having fun while Supreme Court justices are under attack by a verbally violent mob. What's the difference between those two leaders?
Wait, what's the comparison you're making? Could you say the first part?
So I'm saying that what's the difference between President Trump not doing anything while the Capitol was being attacked and President Biden not doing anything while protesters, while the Supreme Court justices were under attack in their own homes with their families and with their children?
Well, there are two major differences here. First of all, our predecessor was very, we have said that his behavior on that day, on January 6th, was atrocious. The president has said that. And we are going to let the select committee, the January 6th select committee, continue to do their independent review of that, their hearing. And you guys all saw for yourselves. The American people have seen for themselves what our predecessor has done, his behavior and his involvement. So that is not the same. That is absolutely not the same. We are talking about what we saw on January 6th. We are talking about an attack on our democracy. We are talking about a very dark day that the person who was here before us, seemingly, if you watch, was very involved. So that's very, very different. Now, fast forward to this president. This president is fighting for women's rights. He's fighting for women's freedom. He has spoken out. He's been very clear about what needs to happen next. He put out 2 executive authorities that lays out ways that we can protect women. He has said that everything is on the table. We're going to see what else we can do. But he has spoken very truthfully and very honestly with the American people, which is if we want to see Roe become the law of the land, we also have to act. We have to hold Congress accountable and make sure that they act. And if that cannot happen, then Americans need to go to the ballot box. And that is very different. And to say that there is no difference, that is just unbelievably wrong.
But is it concerned that Supreme Court justice
I'm moving on. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead, Phil. And then I'll come back to you, Emily. Go ahead.
Simon Atiba, of course, wonders why he hasn't been called on in 8 months when the last time he asked a question, he was trying to equate Joe Biden and his handling of protesters around the homes of Supreme Court justices after they said during their confirmation hearings that they were going to leave Roe v. Wade as settled law, and then went behind the backs of Americans and stripped women of their right to control their own body. Yeah, Simon Atiba was equating that to Donald Trump calling for the march on Capitol Hill that led to the deadly insurrection, attempted coup, to try to stop the certification of Joe Biden as president of the United States. This person is not serious. Simon Atiba is not a serious person and shouldn't be taken seriously inside the White House press corps. He shouldn't have the privilege of asking questions when he's going to use his questions to try to spew this misinformation. So Simon also went on to Tucker Carlson recently to talk about the discrimination, which I think is really funny because these guys love to play the victim card.
She's obviously a bigot. You can see it in her face. She really, really dislikes you. Do you suppose it's because you don't have the same views that someone who looks like you should have, in her opinion?
Yes, so I believe that has to do maybe with 2 or 3 things. The first thing, I sound different. I wasn't born here. I was born in Cameroon. I speak French. I speak different languages. I don't have the American accent. I tried, I failed, and I've decided to stick with my accent. So I'm an immigrant, and she doesn't like that. And I ask tough questions.
Conservatives like Simon Atiba and Donald Trump, when they break the law or they violate a tradition or they go against the person in power, which in the White House press room is Karine Jean-Pierre, Simon's going to have his privileges revoked. Simon doesn't have any right to ask questions in the press room. He has the privilege of being called upon by Karine Jean-Pierre. And because he violated that trust, now you have him coming out and saying that he was just the only person who was asking the tough questions, which, mind you, Fox News asks delusional questions all the time. I think they just don't scream and shout at the top of their lungs to disrupt these press conferences. And this kind of trend of playing the victim card, we see it, all the way at the top with Donald Trump, right? Everything's a witch hunt. The indictment over the Stormy Daniels payment, witch hunt. The indictment that's coming up for his trying to interfere in the election in Georgia, that's a witch hunt. Mar-a-Lago, that's a witch hunt. The press reporting on Donald Trump's, all of his follies and corruption while he was president. Oh, it's all a witch hunt because Donald Trump is the only one who's willing to fight the good fight. It's what these delusional conservatives use when they have their privileges revoked or possibly, are facing investigations. They're always the victim.